The Man in the Closet. Emily had always thought her son, Jake, had an overactive imagination. At 5 years old, he often played games by himself, laughing and talking to someone she couldn't see. She chalked it up to an imaginary friend, a normal phase for children. But one evening, something changed, something dark. The game begins. It was a cold autumn night when Emily heard Jake giggling from his bedroom. She peeked inside and found him standing in the middle of the room, his tiny hands covering his eyes. "Sweetheart, what are you doing?" she asked with a smile. "Playing hide and seek," Jake said without looking up. "With who?" "The man in the closet," he whispered. Emily's breath caught in her throat. She turned toward the closet. The door was slightly ajar, revealing darkness beyond. A chill ran down her spine. "Jake, there's no one in the closet." "Yes, there is," he insisted. "He told me not to tell you." Emily felt the hairs on her arms stand up. She walked over and yanked the closet door open. It was empty. Letting out a nervous chuckle, she knelt beside Jake. "See? There's no one there." Jake frowned, his bright blue eyes darkening. "He doesn't like when you do that." A shiver passed through Emily. "Okay, time for bed, mister. No more hide and seek tonight." The midnight disturbance. That night, Emily struggled to sleep. The house was quiet, except for the occasional creak of the wooden floors. Just as she was finally drifting off, a noise jolted her awake. It was coming from Jake's room. Soft, deliberate footsteps. A low whisper. Emily's heart pounded as she sat up. She reached for her phone and checked the time, 2:47 a.m. She tiptoed down the hallway, pushing open Jake's door. Jake was sitting upright in bed, his eyes wide and unblinking, staring at the open closet door. "Jake?" Emily whispered. He didn't respond. His little hands gripped his blanket tightly. Emily followed his gaze to the closet. The door was wider than before, the darkness inside feeling thicker, deeper. A strange, raspy breathing sound came from within. "Jake, come here now," she whispered urgently. Jake didn't move. "He's watching us." The breath caught in Emily's throat. She reached for her son, scooping him into her arms and backing out of the room. She slammed the door shut, her hands trembling. Strange occurrences. The next morning, Emily decided to check the closet in daylight. She searched through every inch. Clothes, old boxes, a few forgotten toys. Nothing out of the ordinary. But Jake was acting differently. He was quieter, more withdrawn. He refused to enter his room alone. Every night he insisted on sleeping in Emily's bed. Then the nightmares started. Jake would wake up screaming, crying about the man with the black eyes standing at the foot of the bed. Emily tried to comfort him, but deep down, fear coiled inside her. One night, desperate for answers, she set up a baby monitor in Jake's room. If he was sleepwalking or hearing strange noises, she would know. At 3:12 a.m., the monitor crackled. Then came the whispering. Emily shot up in bed, grabbing the monitor. Through the tiny speaker, she heard Jake's voice. "Not now, Mommy is asleep." Then another voice, low, guttural. "She won't be for long." Emily's blood turned to ice. The investigation terrified, Emily called her best friend, Lisa, the next morning. Lisa was skeptical, but suggested checking the house's history. After some online digging, they uncovered something chilling. The previous owner, a man named Richard Hale, had mysteriously vanished. His body was never found, but rumors swirled that he had lived alone and spent most of his time inside the closet of what was now Jake's room. Desperate, Emily contacted a local paranormal investigator. The investigator, an older man named Harold, arrived that evening with his equipment. "There's a presence here," Harold said after scanning the house. "Something residual, and it's attached to that closet." He set up thermal cameras and an audio recorder in Jake's room. Emily and Jake stayed in the living room while the investigation continued. Around 3 a.m., a cold wind swept through the house. The lights flickered. Then a loud bang echoed from Jake's room. Harold rushed in, Emily following close behind. The closet door was wide open. On the wall, deep scratches had appeared, forming words that made Emily's stomach drop. "I like to play." The final night, Emily decided she had had enough. She and Jake would stay at Lisa's house while she figured out what to do next. But first, she wanted to get some of their belongings. That was her mistake. That evening, Emily entered Jake's room alone. The house was eerily silent. She grabbed a suitcase, stuffing it with clothes. As she turned to leave, a whisper slithered through the air. "Stay." Emily froze. The closet door creaked open. Then the air turned icy. Her breath came out in white puffs. A shadow emerged from the closet, tall, thin, its eyes black pits of nothingness. Emily's body refused to move. The entity stepped closer, its presence suffocating. Then a whisper, inches from her ear. "I found you." Emily screamed, bolting from the room. She grabbed Jake and fled the house, never looking back. The aftermath: Emily and Jake never returned. They moved to another town, leaving the house behind. A month later, a new family moved in. They had a little girl named Sophie. One night, as Sophie's mother tucked her into bed, she asked, "Sweetheart, what are you playing?" Sophie giggled, covering her eyes. "Hide and seek." "With who?" her mother asked, smiling.